All righty, we are live. Welcome back to the Fast Break podcast here on the Variety Sports Network. I'm your host, Shooting the Rock. And this week, we're actually going to go with a little bit more of an NBA-centric to start episode here, just because we got the NBA trade deadline this week. We had NBA All-Star starters and reserves announced. So a lot of things kind of happening right now in the NBA. Sadly, we don't have a Luka Doncic type trade to talk about. That happened, last year here. Around this time was the first ever episode of the Fast Break. And to start Super Bowl week, we had Luka Doncic traded to the Lakers, crazy trade, and, broke during Gonzaga St. Mary's last year. I was kind of checking my phone here during Gonzaga St. Mary's tonight, seeing if we were going to get, any more crazy trades. We did get a couple trades over the weekend, but I really think the more interesting topics are kind of some of these guys that could get moved this year at the deadline. We've already seen Trae Young get traded to Washington. Could Washington may move him again? Giannis, he's kind of been. He won't ask for a trade. It is very funny, and we'll show that here. Do you think Giannis to New York is realistic or just deadline smoke? I think to the Knicks, probably smoke right now. But honestly, Giannis getting traded here in this trade deadline here, it would not surprise me. So let's kind of maybe talk about here some of these potential trades here, some of these rumors, stuff like that. So we'll start here with those potential Giannis trades. So we got here 6 Giannis offers. This is in the ESPN article, which would the Bucks pick. So the first one, Giannis to the Warriors. This would be the Warriors get Giannis and Miles Turner. The Bucks get Jimmy Butler, Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski, 2026 first round, 2028 first round pick, 2030 first round pick if it was pick 1 through 20, 2031 first round swap, and a 2032 first round pick. So honestly, if Giannis is going to get moved to the deadline here, I feel like the Warriors are the team that make the most sense here. Now with that Jimmy Butler injury, they are kind of looking for a second guy here to pair with Steph Curry. It would be the most realistic to make the money work. The other option is then, it also trades Jonathan Kuminga here, who's asked for a trade from the Warriors just because he hasn't really been playing as much. And that's kind of, awkward thing here is now that Butler's been hurt, they've had to try to, have Kuminga play a little bit more, and he has been, where it's kind of a guy that's already requested a trade. Now you're relying on him. That's not a great thing there. So with that move, I feel like it makes, like I said, I think it's the most realistic is Giannis goes to the Warriors. I think it maybe benefits the Bucks more to wait till the summer to pass the deadline here? Yes, but honestly, like if there's one that I could see, it would be a trade like this. Like I said, the Jimmy Butler and the Giannis, it makes the money work kind of thing. Miles Turner also getting traded, then be interesting. I mean, that's just then the Bucks are full in rebuild mode, which at this point, given how they're looking here in the standings, that honestly would make sense. So this trade, I don't mind. Like I said, I think the Bucks could maybe get a better return if they wait till the summer. But if there's gonna be a deal here at the deadline, I think that one makes the most sense. Next one is this Giannis to the Knicks. Cat to the Blazers, 3-team blockbuster. So this one would be the Knicks get Giannis and Drew Holiday, which would be fun to kind of reunite those two guys together there. Both, played together, obviously, on this Bucks team that won championship. The Blazers would get Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, and Miles McBride. And then the Bucks would get Jeremy Grant, Matisse Thybulle, and Gershon Yabusele, as well as a 2026 first-round pick from the Wizards via the Knicks, top 8 protected. 2029 first-round pick, best of the Bucks, Trailblazers, and Celtics. A return of the 2030 swap rights via the Trailblazers. So I believe that's from Dame going back to Portland. Or I don't think that was a trade. Never mind. I'm tripping. I forget what that's from. 2030 pick swap via the Knicks and 2032 pick swap via the Knicks. So this is one, and it even says here in the article, Giannis to the Knicks, while it might be where he wants to go, or at least one of his kind of top destinations, it is, pretty complicated. It's tough to make the money work. And that's kind of a thing here. It's too, if you're trading for Giannis, trading Cat doesn't necessarily make a ton of sense to me. Portland having interest in Cat doesn't really make a ton of sense to me. I guess if they maybe think they're like a player or two away with how, Denny Advio is an all-star this year. We'll get to that in a little bit. But I don't know. This one, like I said, it just doesn't really make a ton of sense to me. Like, I get the Knicks want him, but like, do you want him that bad that you're willing to, kind of move on from Cat, a guy that you just saw or just traded for not that long ago? Has been playing well, but I guess maybe not as well as you've hoped, especially lately. So I don't know. I can maybe see that one, but like I said, I still think the Warriors most realistic. Then this one to the Heat. The Heat is another destination that seems like Giannis is very interested in. And again, make sure to drop your guys' comments here. What trades you guys think are most realistic? Where you kind of would like to see Giannis go? Do you want to see him get traded? Stuff like that. The Heat would get Giannis. The Bucks would get Tyler Hero, Terry Rozier, Khalil Ware, 2029 first round pick, 2030 swap rights, 2031 first round pick as well. This one seems like a very underwhelming return, in all honesty. Like, Tyler Hero, solid player. I guess maybe could potentially be a future franchise star. I don't really know if he's talented enough to be your go-to guy on a championship caliber team. Khalil Ware's a solid, young big. And then Terry Rozier, like that. I don't even know how Terry Rozier could possibly get traded given all the gambling stuff. Like, I guess he won some court case where he still is going to get paid his contract, but I wouldn't want anything to do with Terry Rozier if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks right now. Like that just trading your franchise superstar, your franchise icon at this point, to get a guy that currently cannot play because he was gambling on games might be one of the worst PR looks that I've ever seen. Like, I just don't understand how that would make sense. I guess maybe Miami here, it does seem to be a place that Giannis is interested in going. But again, it's one of those, I feel like if that's going to work, it's going to take in the summer when more guys are able to be traded, kind of where different picks are going to fall, stuff like that. Like, to me, this one just doesn't make any sense for the Bucks right now. All right, the next one, Wolves, Raptors, and Bucks. Here would be the Minnesota Timberwolves get Giannis, Thanasis, and Gary Trent Jr. The Bucks would get RJ Barrett, Joan Beringer, Rob Dillingham, Julius Randle, Terrence Shannon Jr., 2020 first round pick from the Raptors, 2029 first round pick from the Raptors, 28 first round swap from the Timberwolves, 2030 first round swap via the Timberwolves and Spurs for worse of Bucks and Trailblazers. These picks get insane. Even some of this is over my head. 2027 second round pick from the Cavs, 2030 second round pick via the Timberwolves and via better of Timberwolves and Warriors, 2031 second round pick via better of Rockets and Suns, and then the Raptors get Cole Anthony and Jaden McDaniels. To me, if I'm the Raptors, I don't know why I'm giving up multiple first round picks to help out another team to get Cole Anthony and Jaden McDaniels. I mean, Jaden McDaniels especially can be like a solid, maybe third, fourth guy. Cole Anthony's going to be a career like backup point guard, which I guess, is helpful to have at times. But yeah, for me, this one just doesn't make a ton of sense. For the Wolves, I like it a bunch. I mean, and also that's another interesting wrinkle in this too. I feel like whoever trades for Giannis, Thanasis kind of is going to have to be a part of it, where like Giannis and his brother, like they very much seem like a package deal at this point. I don't know. Maybe it's not true. Maybe it's, not possible, but I feel like that's definitely like something Giannis is almost going to want, just because it seems really here like the ball is the most in Giannis's court. If he's the one that wants to get traded, and like two is, to try to trade for him and get him to sign an extension, it's going to probably take then his brother coming with to get him to sign that extension. So for the Timberwolves, I really like this. Honestly, for the Bucks, it's not a bad return. RJ Barrett's really solid. Terrence Shannon Jr., I think, would be a good player down the road. Julius Randle, has been an all-star at times in his career. Like this, and just all those picks, like this is probably the best return I've seen from the Bucks out of any of these so far. Just like from the Raptors' point of view, though, I don't really know why you would jump in and help in this deal to get this done, especially then to have Giannis. Well, I guess this does get Giannis out of the conference going to Minnesota, but yeah, I don't know. From the Raptors' point of view, I don't really get it. From Minnesota, I don't hate it. And from the Bucks, I honestly like it. Like if I'm the Bucks, this is probably the one I do. So we'll see. Then Philly offers star. Okay, this would be an interesting one. This would be Giannis goes to Philly. The Bucks get Paul George and VJ Edgecombe plus a 2028 first-round pick from the Clippers and a 2030 first-round pick. This one also, too, this article is a little old. or maybe not. Maybe it's only 11 hours ago. But like Paul George just got suspended for 25 games over the weekend. So I guess maybe this year, where if you are trading Giannis, you're kind of fully settling on we're not going to be a playoff team, stuff like that. But I don't know, trading for an aging Paul George doesn't make a ton of sense to me. VJ Edgecombe is a really solid piece I think you can build around. If it wasn't for, he's kind of fallen off and how good just lately that Cooper Flag and Con Knippel have been, that, we could see VJ Edgecombe being rookie of the year here, but now it's, definitely those two. So I think there is something there in Edgecombe. For the Bucks, I wouldn't mind getting him back. The trading for Paul George is a little bit weird. Only getting 2 picks for Giannis, I'm not loving as well. So like I said, I still think maybe that last trade is the leader in the clubhouse for best return for the Bucks, but I guess I wouldn't hate that one. And then the final one here, this is another one, kind of wild card. Cavs get Giannis and Thanasis. The Bucks get Lonzo Ball, Evan Mobley, Jalen Wilson, and a 2031 first-round pick via the Cavs. And then the Nets get Max Strus, a 2030 swap with the Cavs, and 2032 swap with the Cavs. This is another one. That's not a good enough return for Giannis, especially to trade him in the division. Evan Mobley, has looked really good the past couple of years, but this one makes no sense to me. Lonzo Ball has probably had the worst season of his career. Sure, this like only getting 1 pick for Giannis Antetokounmpo just does not make sense to me. I get it, the money, it's going to be tough, but the Bucks already don't have a ton of picks. They need picks. So this one, that's definitely a no for me. But yeah, let me know what your guys' kind of thoughts on this. The article here is they think Edgecombe's probably the best one, which that too, I guess, so then your future star. For me, the one I like the most is the Wolves Raptors deal. That too, like you're trading him out of the conference, so you're only gonna have to play him. He's only gonna have to come to Milwaukee once a year. You're hopefully not gonna have to see him until like a final, something like that. That's the one that probably makes the most sense for me. Most realistic too, then I would say, is that Warriors trade. So another guy here looking to be traded, Ja Morant. Similar thing. It's very clear he wants to be traded. I believe he has formally, maybe he hasn't formally requested a trade, but he just doesn't really seem to be worth the headache for Memphis anymore. Like he's had, kind of some off the court stuff. He doesn't really seem to be bought in here to Memphis. Like it's one of those, I think it's just best to move on from him. So this ESPN article has 4 offers. First one here, the Heat get Ja Morant. The Grizzlies get Tyler Hero and Simone Fontecchio. So we'll see. I mean, Tyler Hero, I guess the Heat are looking to move Tyler Hero, or that's just kind of how money-wise these trades would have to work. I don't know how I feel about that one. Next one here would be the Bucks get Ja Morant. The Grizzlies get Kyle Kuzma, Kevin Porter Jr., and a 2026 first-round pick swap. And then the Pistons also be involved in this one where they get Gary Harris and cash considerations. I don't know. This one, I guess I kind of like, moving on from Giannis. Like we just said, if they move on from Giannis and going and getting Ja, then maybe seeing if he can be the face of the franchise. But also too, like if I like I've just kind of talked about how little they have pick wise Milwaukee has. I feel like you just kind of try to tank and try to get it the most picks possible. Don't worry about Ja Morant. But this too, I mean, let me know. What do you guys think? Should Milwaukee trade for Ja Morant? Should Memphis trade for Ja Morant? I want to hear your guys' thoughts. All right, next one. Ja goes to Toronto with the Grizzlies getting Emmanuel Quickly, Ochai Agbaji, and a 2026 first round top 14 protected. I mean, yeah, I don't mind this one. I think this could be this is probably my favorite one so far. I like Ja in Toronto. I think that's a good fit. Manuel Quickly, solid guard. Okay, like these are 2 like solid young players that you could potentially kind of build around here in Memphis. We'll see. And then the final one, Minnesota gets Ja Morant. Memphis gets Rod Dillingham and Naz Reid, as well as a 2027 second-round pick from the Bulls. The Wizards get Terrence Shannon Jr., and the Jazz get Mike Conley and cash considerations. I guess I don't hate this. I get like if I'm the Timberwolves, I almost don't want to trade Naz Reid, though. That's like a staple there for the Minnesota fan base. So that's an interesting one for sure. Getting rid of Terrence Shannon, have him go to Washington, I don't mind that. Mike Conley to Utah, somewhere he's played before, sure, yeah. I guess, I don't know. The verdict on this article, they agree Raptors deal is best for Memphis. I would kind of agree with that. So that one was once again the um quickly Mbaji and a first round pick for Ja. I think that's a solid kind of return there. All right, we got a comment here from Ronnie Agramonti. Teams in pursuit of Giannis right now would be the Heat, Warriors, Timberwolves, and Blazers. Yeah, like I was just kind of talking about the Giannis trade a little bit here. I think the Warriors are what makes the most sense if he's going to get traded here at the deadline. I think if they wait till the summer, I think Miami's probably the place he'll end up going. I would say Miami or the Knicks. But yeah, I think right now, if they're going to trade him at the deadline, it's the Warriors. And also his thoughts here on Naz Reid. I'll trade Naz Reid before McDaniels. That's Ant's right-hand man right there. And he's a lengthy wing who can space. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that 100%. Yeah, obviously, like I don't think definitely not trading McDaniels for like either of these. I forget here. Was McDaniels in that potential trade here with the Bucks? Let me go back. No, he was not. Or yeah, he was. He would go to Toronto in that one. So that's then maybe that there too. I'm not as big of a fan of that one as original. Like I said, I think for Milwaukee, that's the best one. For the other teams involved, maybe not so much. And then the final guy here, just to kind of go through quick. I already kind of talked about him. These trades probably won't go nothing as crazy here. Just three here. SB Nation article. Jonathan Kuminga. Will the Warriors try to trade him? Like I said, he has formally requested a trade, so I think this could be an interesting one. This would be his first one here, which as a Lakers fan, I really like this one. Kuminga and Cam Thomas go to the Lakers. The Warriors receive Jacob Laravia and Haywood Highsmith, and then the Nets would receive Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleber. I mean, Kuminga, I think, can be a really solid wing, and Cam Thomas, granted, we'll see how much then he would contribute. I guess, he scores the way he does in Brooklyn because he's like the go-to scorer. He's really the only guy with the ball, where then here, he's behind a Luka, he's behind Austin Reeves, behind a LeBron. Like, he's probably the fourth go-to scorer there for the Lakers, where maybe like to kind of lead the bench unit, I wouldn't mind that if he was capable coming off the bench, but we'll have to see there. Then the next one, it has Kuminga going to the Kings, which you're saying right here, Kuminga to the Kings. They already traded for DeAndre Hunter, so yeah, that's true. So this one probably doesn't make as much sense anymore. He would go to the Kings as well as Javon Carter. The Warriors would get Dalen Terry and Devin Carter, and then the Bulls would get Malik Monk. Like you're saying here, though, they already just traded for DeAndre Hunter, so that one probably doesn't make a ton of sense. And then the last one here he goes to the Mavs for Klay Thompson returning to the Warriors and Jaden Hardy. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind that for the Warriors here, especially now, like without Jimmy. It's kind of saying here in the article, it's probably a lot of money to pay Klay Thompson, but with no Jimmy, I think it makes sense. Like, just kind of run back, like if this is like the final season for Draymond, kind of like one more time, try to get the gang back together here for the rest of this year, maybe even into next year. I'd have to look at the contracts again with Klay, Steph, and Draymond, and then just kind of go on to the future from there. That is true. Let me pull up that. I do have the De'Aaron Hunter trade, because that is the one trade that's actually happened. So why don't we talk about that one a little bit here? So let's see, that one happened back on February 1st. So that was yesterday, where Sacramento receives DeAndre Hunter. The Bulls receive Dario Saric, a second-round pick from the Kings, a 2029 second-round pick from the Kings, and then Cleveland gets Keon Ellis, Dennis Schroeder, and Emmanuel Miller. So this one, I don't know. For me, it's like not a huge name. It's kind of a little underwhelming. I guess like DeAndre Hunter moving is a big name, is a solid, but I don't know. It's just really not one that like moves the needle for me a whole lot. I think, to get some more guards here on this Cleveland squad, especially just how Lonzo Ball, like I just kind of mentioned, really is struggling. He's a guy I'm high on and just has really not had a good year here for the Cavs. So to get another kind of backup guard here to go behind Donovan Mitchell, behind Darius Garland, sure, I guess I don't mind that, stuff like that. Let's see here. We do have a Lauri Markkanen. So I guess I'll touch on it, but I don't really have much to say there. That's the thing. Like, I'm hoping we get a big name move. Like I said, obviously we have Luka last year. Like I don't think we're ever gonna see anything like that again. Yeah, make sure to comment, what guys you guys want to see move. But like so far, like these trades have really been underwhelming. Like the one yesterday, like literally pretty meaningless. Portland gets Vit Krejci, and then Atlanta gets Duop Reith and two second-round picks. Like not a whole lot going there. Honestly, like the Trae Young trade, like I said, I hope it's not the only big trade. And who knows, maybe even Trae Young gets moved again here. He goes to Washington for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. But yeah, hopefully we get some more. Did find one more article because Lauri Markkanen's another guy where Utah could look to trade him. So looking here. So this first one, let me see how this article is like laid out. I cannot figure this out. Okay, here it is. So first one is Lauri Markkanen to the Warriors. Him and Bryce Sensabaugh for Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, Buddy Hield, Brandon Pajemski, 2026 first-round pick, 2028 second-round pick. I feel like it's a pretty good return there from the Jazz, or for the Jazz. That's just the thing, though, is I don't really know if given now the Jimmy Butler injury, that's a trade that the Warriors really look to make. I feel like they're almost like I don't think they'd want to get rid of picks, but I don't know. We'll see. The next one here. The Markkanen to the Spurs, I actually like that. I think him and Wemby would be like a really dangerous, like especially spacing wise. Front court, like how they both can step out and shoot, but then also like are good like in the post. In that one, Utah would get Harrison Barnes, Keldon Johnson, Kelly Olynyk, 2026 first round pick, 2026 second round pick via Utah. The first round pick would be a pick swap with Atlanta. The second round pick would be via Utah. 2027 first round pick via Atlanta. 2028 second round via New Orleans. 2030 first round via Dallas or Minnesota. Yeah, actually, that's a pretty good haul there. Granted, no like super young pieces like Keldon Johnson's even kind of getting up there, and then Harrison Barnes, Kelly Olynyk are two like veterans. So I don't know if maybe player wise that's great, but that's a good amount of picks there for Lauri Markkanen. I don't hate that one. All right, this one, sending him back to the Bulls. Lauri Markkanen goes to the Bulls for Kola Vucevic, Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, 2026 first-round pick, 2027 first-round pick, 2029 first-round pick. From the Bulls perspective, I hate this. I think the Bulls really should be open for business, and like those are three guys that they're trading there that they honestly should trade here at the deadline, but to trade them all for just Lauri Markkanen doesn't make sense to me. I feel like those are guys that they should all be in separate deals, like trying to get picks, rather than just kind of all going to one team. See another one here. The Raptors. Toronto gets Lauri Markkanen. Jazz get Emmanuel quickly. Ochai Agbaji, Grady Dick, 2026 first round pick, 2028 first round pick swap. Okay, that one I like from the Jazz. We already kind of talked about quickly Agbaji, and then you throw in Grady Dick, another young guy there for the Raptors, plus a couple picks. Like that's not one I would hate. Those are kind of some guys you could build around. But that's the thing though. Like I've kind of liked those guys here in Toronto, but I guess you do kind of. I don't think they're all going to be, on a team that potentially can win a title here for Toronto. Detroit, Lauri Markkanen to Detroit for Tobias Harris, Jaden Ivey, Ron Holland, 2026 first round pick, top 8 protected, 2028 first round pick, 2026 second round pick, 2027 second round pick. It's a good amount of picks. And honestly, like Jaden Ivey's a fun young guard. Like I was a big fan of him at Purdue. I feel like he's been kind of pushed off to the side a little bit here in Detroit, just kind of because of how good Cade Cunningham has been and kind of some of these other guards. So I wouldn't mind seeing him in Utah. All right, next one, Hawks receive Lauri Markkanen, Jazz receive Porzingis, Zachary Richese, 2026 first-round pick swap, which a bunch of teams like potentially have the rights to. I don't really understand that. 2028 first-round pick swap and a 2030 first-round pick. I don't know if I'm the Hawks, if I'm giving up a guy I just took first overall for Lauri Markkanen. I mean, I think Markkanen is definitely an upgrade over Porzingis. Markkanen is definitely better than Richese right now. I know that was a pretty like weak draft class, but I don't know. That strikes me as an odd one. Going back to Detroit here quick, we got a comment from Joe8625. I feel like Detroit wouldn't be willing to give up Jaden Ivey, Holland and Ivy. Yeah, I agree. That's maybe a lot to give up both of them, but I don't know. Like the Pistons here, and we'll kind of talk about the standings a little bit. Like they're kind of the team in the East right now, especially with it being a year where you have, Indiana's horrible, like they're injured. Boston while they've now are towards the top, but like no Jalen, or I'm sorry, no Jason Tatum. Like it's just Jaylen Brown. Like I don't know this. Not that that's necessarily Detroit's best chance, but like it's definitely a year that if I'm the Pistons, like I'm really going hard here, like trying to win the East. I mean, you saw it last year, the Pacers. Like, granted, the Pacers were what, the 5 seed or something like that, four or 5 seed. I can't remember quite. Where the Pistons here would be the 1 seed, but like I feel like the East is very wide open where it's probably gonna be a new face here because I mean you got the Pistons here first, Knicks second, who they've got their own issues. Like they've been kind of at times they've won 6 straight now, but before then like we're on a pretty bad slide. Like Detroit's pretty much gonna win the East here. They're the best team. I feel like maybe you kind of do have to sacrifice some of that future a little bit here to try to get some of these top guys. All right, and then so yeah, that was the last, and then the last one here. Portland gets Lauri Markkanen. The Jazz get Jeremy Grant, Scoot Henderson, Donovan Clingan, 2028 first round pick and 2030 first round pick. I feel like that's kind of a lot here for Portland to give up just for Jeremy Grant or just for Lauri Markkanen. Because I don't know, Portland, like I believe they're in a playoff spot. Here, let me pull up the standings again. Or like they're currently the 10 seed. Like to give up a lot of young guys like that to get Lauri Markkanen, like I to me that one just doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think that's kind of all I got here on trades. Like I said, any other players, any other teams you guys want to see traded, hope get traded, make sure to drop down here in the comments. And then we can kind of move on here to the All-Stars because that was also announced last night. Like I said, a lot of NBA talk here, I believe. Yeah, this is what I had for All-Stars. So, like I said, NBA All-Stars officially announced last night. So it's not going to be East versus West this year. It's going to be two. Which listening to one podcast there. It's going to be Stars and Stripes, the Stars team, the Stripes team, and then the World team. So I guess this article I pulled up just had snubs, didn't have the actual rosters. Let me pull up the rosters here real quick. There we go, Bleach Report. So for the East, which again, this is like so funny to me that they still do East and West for like the voting and all that kind of stuff, but then the game's not East and West, so I don't know why they do this. East, we got the starters, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey, Jaylen Brown, Cade Cunningham, and Giannis. With then the reserves that were announced yesterday, Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Johnson from the Hawks, Karl Anthony Towns, Pascal Siakam, Norm Powell, Scotty Barnes, and Jalen Duren. Then on the West, starters, Steph Curry, Shea, Luka Doncic, Victor Wembanyama, Nikola Jokic. And then the reserves announced yesterday, Anthony Edwards, Jamal Murray, Chet Holmgren, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Denny Avdija, and LeBron James. So, what do you guys think of those? Potential starters versus snubs. I know the one interesting one to me, for sure here, is Kawhi Leonard, where especially the All-Star game is in the Intuit Dome. Like how him not getting picked to the All-Star game here is kind of odd to me. I don't know. Maybe it's something to do with potentially, some of the ongoing investigation of his, like, potentially, circumventing the salary cap kind of stuff, where him being there, that gets talked about more. But honestly, I feel like that gets talked about more with him not being there, because I feel like that then, makes it seem like something up. So looking at Kawhi's stats this year, in 35 games played, he's averaging 27 points per game with 3 assists and 6 rebounds. I feel like that's a pretty solid stat line here from Kawhi. I'm sorry, I should have just looked at it at the top. Yeah, 27 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, shooting 49% from the floor, nearly 40% from 3, 92%. So like he's really close to being the 40, 50, 90 club, plus just you throw in his defense and stuff like that. That's one that definitely kind of sticks out for me. So let me know, would you guys have had Kawhi in? I think that's where two things are going to get interesting, because it's like I'm mentioning here, it's East versus West. And I think, with Giannis's kind of injury stuff going on, potential trade, we'll see. Maybe if he gets traded, that'll kind of clear up, kind of go away. But him, I don't think Giannis will play. So it'll be interesting to see if they go one of these West guys. Another person that I want to shout out, Alfred Şengün. And that's the thing too. It's like with this international and USA thing, like who are we going to qualify as international? Who are we going to qualify as USA? Like Donovan Mitchell's talked about, like he's his grandma's from Panama. Like it'd be sick for him to play for Panama. Like Someone else wanted to play for Jamaica. And then like Karl Anthony Towns, like you could say he's like Dominican. So there's all sorts of different stuff where it's going to be interesting to see who they qualify as American, who they qualify as international. Where, if they need if they got to replace Giannis, then I think the international guy you got to look to here is Alfred Şengün. Or again, if maybe they rule one of those other guys international and then they don't need an international sub, we'll have to see. But Şengün here, averaging 21 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, shooting 50% from the field, 21 PER, 4.5 win shares. So the Rockets here too are a team that's, fourth here in the West, like they're up there. And then I'm trying to think, I don't think they had any, or they had Kevin Durant. I always forget KD's on the Rockets now, but I don't know. The Rockets only getting one player, being the fourth best team in the West. I don't know how I feel about that, especially because you got the Lakers. Well, Lakers are up there too. Lakers have 2, but they're in 6th. Other than that, what other teams have multiple here in the West? Minnesota just has Denver with both Murray and Jokic. That makes sense. Chet and Shea from the Thunder, just Devin Booker being the only son, Devi Advia being the only Trailblazers. So we'll see if, I think, like I said, I think if there's a guy that needs to replace Giannis, like Giannis needs to be replaced, I think that the first look there needs to be Şengün just because of that international talk here. If it's going to be an Eastern Conference player, then I think it's, these other two guys we have here on the list. Michael Porter Jr. Now with Brooklyn, this year he's averaging 25 points per game, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. Granted, Brooklyn, not a very good team here. They are currently 13-35. So it's just kind of his team in all honesty, and he's just the one putting up all the numbers. Or then you could go with Joel Embiid, where the East here, Philly currently in 6th. They're 21-26. Looking here at Embiid's numbers, let me pull those up really quick. And again, let me know if you guys think there's someone who one of these guys that I'm talking about or someone else that you would have in. But also too, then the thing is you have to think of who you would take out. Where I think it's very easy to say, oh, this guy was snubbed, stuff like that. But you then have to figure out someone to take out. So Embiid this year, averaging 26 points, 7 rebounds, nearly 4 assists, shooting 49% from the field, 52% effective field goal percentage, 24.5 PER. Like I said, for me, it's probably, I'm going to go, like I said, I think Şengün probably has the biggest, Şengün or Kawhi have the biggest case if they should be there, especially with it being in Kawhi's gym. That's the thing. I don't do the the Norm Powell, for the Clippers. Or am I tripping? No, Norm Powell's on the Heat now. So yeah, the Clippers in their own gym are not going to have any All-Stars. That just seems very odd to me. So I don't know. For me, you maybe argue Kawhi over LeBron. But it's LeBron's now 22nd straight All-Star appearance. Let's be honest here. The NBA was never going to not have LeBron. Even if somehow he didn't get voted into this game, I think you see LeBron get some sort of commissioner, special pick, stuff like that. So I don't know. For me, like I said, it's maybe Kawhi. It's maybe if you need an international guy, I'm going Şengün for sure. And then maybe Kawhi over LeBron. But other than that, I don't really have much issue. I think all those picks are pretty solid. So let me know what you guys think. Then we'll move on here, a little bit of NBA draft prospect talk. And this is kind of how we'll work in the college game here from this week. So Darren Peterson right now currently projected to go first. AJ Demancey projected to go second. And those two went head-to-head this weekend when BYU and Kansas squared off at Allen Fieldhouse. Kansas got the win 90-82. They led 53-33 at halftime. And in the first half, the way the way Darren Peterson played compared to how AJ Demancey played showed why Darren Peterson's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. Why he's might even be just the best player in the country in college basketball altogether. Scores 18 points on 8 shots, 3 of 5 from beyond the arc, has 3 rebounds and assists, no turnovers, 3 steals. It was just absolutely dominating the game. But then once again, he leaves with cramps. And once again, he does not return once he suffers those cramps. Only, like I said, plays the 20 minutes there in the first half and then did not play at all here in the second half. That's how BYU almost comes back in this game. Their best player in this game, honestly, was Richie Saunders. He goes for 33, shooting 6 of 14 from beyond the arc. like I mentioned, AJ DeBance only had 17 in this one. 1 rebound, 1 assist, 2 turnovers. Like, kind of disappointing from him. And just in all honesty, like, this has been kind of how BYU has played lately. A lot of really just slow starts, have not looked particularly great here against these tougher Big 12 opponents. So we'll kind of see how that goes. But for me, really just the bigger talking point here is Darren Peterson, just because he plays so well. But then once again, we're just kind of continuing to see this with him. And granted, it's not like a major injury that he's suffering. Like, he's not having injury concerns necessarily, but just, I don't know, man. It's, for me, like, his want to win is a little concerning, where it's almost like he was just kind of content. And I said this on another show that I did earlier today. He was like, all right, I got mine. I showed why I'm the best player in the country. Like, I'm good. Y'all close us out. Like, we're up by 20. Y'all got this. And for me, as like an NBA GM, that would be a little concerning. I mean, it's something they got to talk about. Granted, also too, though, you're seeing here, like, if he is dealing with these cramps, well, obviously it's something he's got to fix, with his diet, with his training, stuff like that. But like, NBA staffs have dietitians, trainers, like, they have people that's their entire job is just to make sure he's playing. So that's where I'm it's maybe not as big of a deal as, like, say, a Zion. Like, a Zion coming out of college, he was by far the best player in the country, by far the number 1 overall pick. But the injury concerns were valid because they were actual injuries where he was, missing multiple games. Grant Peterson here also missing games, but like, serious injuries. And we've kind of seen that now here play out in the NBA for Zion Williamson, where he's kind of struggled to stay on the court. Hasn't really been a great showing from him. So I don't think it's that same level, but I don't know. To me, like, it's always just a little concerning with players, because you kind of see it. And then again, please do not take this out of context. Darren Peterson is a way better player than this name I'm about to mention. And, like, way better in college. Obviously, I think he's going to be way better in the NBA. Like, I forget what show I was in. They're saying Darren Peterson might be like the closest thing we've seen to Kobe, like, from a scorer in a long time. And I agree with that assessment. It's like Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons was the number 1 pick in the draft, but you could tell, like, there's not this love of basketball for Ben Simmons. I'm not necessarily saying that Darren Peterson doesn't love basketball, but I don't know. Sometimes you almost see with these guys where things just come effortlessly, where, like, the desire to win isn't really there. It's more of just, I'm going to get mine. I'm going to show why I'm so good. And then eventually, that's kind of it. And then we're seeing here with Ben Simmons. Like, I think he's still in the league. I honestly don't know. Like, he got dropped by his agent this offseason. That's hard to do here in the NBA. Like, these contracts is you're printing money, where it's just like Ben Simmons did not have a desire to keep working and getting better. Like, basketball is not a priority for him. And he went from potentially being like a generational player to, he's, like I said, probably out of the league. And I don't know, biggest bust, but, like, it's up there. It's up there. Granted, Philly also had a lot of struggles with some other picks during that time, so maybe he gets a little bit of a pass there. But yeah, not great stuff there. So I don't know. I don't think, like I said, I don't think Darren Peterson's going to be like that at all. But that is just a little bit of a concern to me, especially with just how there is all these can't miss prospects in this draft. So why don't we move on to that next prospect? The 3rd ranked prospect you're seeing here, Cam Boozer. His Duke Blue Devils once again get another win, 72-58 at Virginia Tech, taking out Nikos of Dallas, who's another, not same level, but has his spurts. Like, Dallas only had 5 points in this one, shot 1 of 8, didn't have a good game. Boozer goes for 24 on 9 of 12 shooting, hits 2 threes, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, does have 4 turnovers. But this Duke team, man, it's reminding me a lot of last year's team. Granted, I think it was Jamal Mashburn over the weekends tried saying, like, Cooper Flagg would be the 5th best or 6th best player, like, in this freshman class, which is just not true at all. Cooper Flagg would still be the best player. He's better than all these guys, at least I think right now. But, like, I don't know, Boozer's kind of stepping into that Flagg type role where he can just be this guy that Duke can rely on. He's going to go and get his, like I said, just dominant win here, especially at Virginia Tech is a place that Duke has struggled historically. So to win here by 14, I mean, like I said, not a great Vatech team here. Now drops to 5-5 in ACC play. But the way Boozer's carrying him, man, I think this Duke team, like, I didn't think a couple weeks ago, I think they are capable of winning a national championship. Granted, after, last year's team doesn't win it, you just never know. But we'll just kind of see. I think Boozer can carry him. It's just really going to kind of then come down to how do other people step up, other guys, like an Isaiah Evans does have 11 points in this one, but takes 11 shots. How, maybe his brother Caden Boozer 6 points, only 3 shots, only 2 assists. Kind of how guys like that play. Caleb Foster came off the bench, played a lot in this one too. 7.7 rebounds, 4 assists. Had to have a nice one. So he's another guy too, where it's like, how do those guys kind of play around Boozer? Where if like they really play their full potential, then I think Duke can be a national championship team with just how far that Cam Boozer has taken them. So then the fourth prospect, and that's another, we're going to see an exciting one here this weekend with Caleb Wilson for North Carolina. Him and Cam Boozer at Duke going to be going head to head. Wilson this weekend goes for 22 points and 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and a 91-75 win at Georgia Tech for North Carolina. Then improved to 17-4 here on the year, 5-3 in the ACC. And yeah, Wilson had a big game in this one. He's another guy, like, just, I think we can't miss. Like, had a big game. It was a lot of fun. Had a couple high flying dunks this one. Plus, just how good this Carolina front court is with him and Henry Vasar. Vasar once again had a big game. Had a couple rough games previously, but now kind of backing and bounce back. Carolina is also playing right now against Syracuse. They're showing Caleb Wilson on my screen at this moment, so I'm definitely be tuned into the second half of this one once I'm done recording here. But yeah, I'm excited. I think that Duke Carolina game is gonna be a good one. It's, like I said, maybe not the same hype as Peterson versus Demansa, but I don't know. It could end up being better because those two guys are actually, unless something happens, going to play the whole game. So that's another name to keep an eye on. And then the final one here that I want to talk about, and this mock draft I have is old, so he's not as high up, but Keaton Wagler from Illinois goes for 28 points in the Fighting Illini's 78-69 win at Nebraska. And this is a guy that was very under-recruited, like did not have high expectations for. And I think he might be a top 10 pick at this point. Keaton Wagler, how good he's been playing. 28 points on 7 of 15 shooting, including 4 of 9 from beyond the arc with 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, just dominating this one. And it's been Illinois' best player. Like, they've lost Kylan Boswell, who has been their go-to guard this year. And Wagler's just stepped up and honestly probably been even better than Boswell has, where he's been the go-to guy here for Illinois, where to start the year, he was a guy that you thought maybe could be like a key reserve, but he's like hands down their best player. I mean, Illinois only played 7 guys in this one. Wagler plays 38 minutes. Like, just insane stuff from him, where I think a team's going to get really lucky and be able to draft him. So let me just kind of look through here this mock draft quick. Any other names I want to touch on really here? Like I said, it's those, I think those 4 are hands down kind of the 4 go-to. Kingston, Fleming's at 5th. Houston won again this week. Let me pull up Fleming's stat line here quick. But yeah, Houston won at home against Cincinnati. They won pretty easily in that one. That one was back on Saturday. Final score in that one, 76-54. I don't think it was Fleming's best game, as Miles Uzan was the leading scorer for the Cougars with 16. But Fleming's, yeah, only 7 points for him, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, did have 3 turnovers. So really kind of struggled, but like the game, a couple games before against Texas Tech, even though they lost, he played really well. Like, I think he's another guy that's really kind of stepped up here out of nowhere that people are going to be high on. Mikel Brown Jr. projected to go 6th. And again, this is a bit older mock draft. When's this one? Yeah, this one's from 3 weeks ago. So this one is, I could probably find something a little bit better. But yeah, Mikel Brown Jr., he's now back healthy. He played really well for Louisville this weekend. They won 88-74 at home against SMU. He went for 20 points in that one. And, you know, that's kind of where Louisville has fallen off here a little bit, is when Brown's been injured. But now that he's healthy, I think they're a team that, like, they're going to be up there in the ACC. I mean, they've already lost twice to Duke. They're not going to win the ACC by any means. I don't know if they're really going to win more than 1, but maybe 2 tournament games. That's probably their ceiling. But I mean, he's another guy that's really fun to watch. Kind of can carry this Cardinal squad here. And then any other names? 7th currently Nate Ament, I guess, yeah. See, it just kind of keeps going. That's what I'm saying with this freshman class. It's just name after name, where I feel like you really can't go wrong. Nate Ament, he's really kind of starting to come into his own here. He had a nice game against Auburn. He was one where he's kind of taken a little bit longer to develop here, but lately he's been playing really well. So in Tennessee's win over Auburn, if I can find it, Nate Ament scores 22 in a Tennessee 77-69 win over Auburn. So yeah, 22 points on 4 of 16 shooting. So maybe not the greatest shooting night, but got to the line a lot, made 12 free throws, has 8 rebounds, throwing a block and an assist. I mean, he's been a pretty solid big here for this Volunteer squad. Like I said, they're another team where I'm not a big believer on him to go like a deep tournament run, but if he starts figuring it out, maybe he can kind of put him on their back. Plus, solid guard there and Ja'Cory Gillespie. So, yeah, Tennessee, nice win there as well. So let's just wrap up here with a little bit more college basketball talk. We'll look here. Top 25 came out today. So Arizona, number 1 team here in the country. Still no really surprise there. Michigan jumps up to 2 after 2 big wins this week, taking down Nebraska at home. Or 2 big wins this past week, taking down Nebraska at home last Tuesday. And then a nice win at Michigan State on Friday night, winning that one 83-71 behind 26 points from Yaxel Lenenborg. He had a really big game there. And just to win on the road at your biggest rivals, that one's really impressive. So let me know down in the comments, guys, which games impressed you guys the most this weekend. UConn 3rd, Duke 4th, Illinois up now to 5th. Like I said, after that win against Nebraska, they also beat Washington this week. Gonzaga 6th, they beat their rivals, St. Mary's. One of the final times these two teams will meet here as West Coast Conference opponents. Graham Ike had a huge one, that one going for 30. Iowa State up to 7 after that, tough week for them a couple weeks ago. They just kind of keep rolling here. Houston at 8, Nebraska falls to 9, Michigan State down to 10, Kansas 11, Purdue 12, Texas Tech up to 13, Kansas and Texas Tech playing tonight. That should be a fun one here. All right, we got another comment here from Joe. Last time I saw a mock draft, Jaden Quaintance was quite high. I don't watch college ball, but I wonder how much he falls with the injury stuff. Yeah, that is true. He'd been playing well for Kentucky before he got hurt, but that's also the thing here with Kentucky. And again, this is a more college-centric show, but I kind of thought with the NBA topics this week, it was maybe better to talk some NBA. So yeah, I think he'll still be quite high. Like, let me see. I want to say I think that's where I cut it off. Yeah, he's projected to go 8th here in this mock draft. Again, a couple weeks ago, so we'll see here. Right behind him, Darius Acuff for Arkansas is really fun guard to watch. Thomas Hall projected to go 10th. He's had some really good games for Florida. So yeah, honestly, like with how good this class is, I wouldn't be surprised if it maybe drops Quaintance like out of the lottery, or like now he's going to be like towards the end of the lottery as opposed to kind of, mid to high lottery here. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of what I keep saying here and why Joe, I'm going to encourage you to watch some college basketball, like even though if you're more of an NBA guy, because there's, like I said, all these freshmen are really a lot of fun to watch here. Then looking throughout, like I said, Carolina now up to 14, Duke and Carolina playing this weekend, a classic rivalry game there. Excited for that one. Vanderbilt at 15, BYU down to 16. Florida at 17 after they just destroy Alabama 100-77 here at home. Virginia at 18, 19, SLU. Got to shout out St. Louis sports here. How about those Billikens? They just keep winning. They destroyed Dayton at home on Friday, the Arch Barron Cup. And then Coach Josh Schertz out of the bar, not only, buying around, he's out here serving the drinks. He's making the drinks. He was doing it all. So that was a funny video there. Clemson 20, Arkansas 21. They fall after losing to Kentucky. St. John's 22. Miami Redhawks continue to stay undefeated. They're up to 23 now. Louisville back in the rankings after that win that I just talked about. And Tennessee as well at 24 and 25. So, like I said, we'll just kind of wrap up here a little college basketball talk. Like I said, this is usually more of a college basketball show. But honestly, we've had more comments tonight. So if you guys want me to talk more NBA, let me know. Just kind of games to watch this week. The 2 biggest ones are probably this weekend where, like I mentioned, that Duke-Carolina game on Saturday at 6:30 Eastern time. That one's in Carolina. Like I said, I think Caleb Wilson and Cam Boozer going at it. Like you're seeing here project once again, second weekend in a row. We're getting probably back-to-back top 5 picks going at it, where that should be a lot of fun. When Duke also won all 3 meetings against North Carolina last year. So see if Tar Heels can get some revenge. And then Houston at BYU, or I'm sorry, maybe it's the other way around. That one's after, correct? Let me look here. Yeah, it is Houston at BYU. That one's at 10:30 Eastern ESPN. So late night game there. Where then you're seeing here Kingston Fleming's AJ DeBanso once again, 2 really stud freshmen going at it. So definitely check that one out as well. But I think that's going to wrap it up for the show this week. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching. One final time here in the comments, if you're watching live or watching after, drop what potential trades you want to see, what guys you think might be getting traded here this week in the NBA, what your thoughts on the All-Stars. And like I said, if you guys want me to talk more NBA, you said, I do watch more college basketball, but if you want some more NBA talk on here, I know last year this was more of an NBA show. This year, just because of that factor, I thought, I'm a little bit more knowledgeable here on college basketball. Talk that, but if you'd rather see more NBA, let me know. Make sure to subscribe to the Variety Sports Network here. A lot of videos been coming out lately there, especially here as we get closer and closer to baseball season. Seventh inning stretch. I know NHL. The Stadium Series game on Sunday night was insane. I'm sure Five Hole talk about that one as they're doing some trade season here as NHL trade deadlines right around the corner. So yeah, a lot of good stuff here at the Variety Sports Network. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.